Hey there, comic book fans. I'm back from the comic shop again this week, and it was a pretty light week. There was only one comic on my pull list, but then I managed to find four other ones on the shelf, and I bought a new short box too. Listen, most of my comics are on shelves, as you can see back here, but occasionally I put things in boxes, and I've had some loose comics that I only got one of, lying around. So I figured I'd get a box. Now I got to find someplace to put the box, too. So we'll see where that goes eventually. But I just wanted to put some loose comics I have lying around into an actual box, because they're starting to pile up. I'll have to get rid of some. But first, let me show you my top of the printer comics of the week. We got a Tarzan. Oh, I forget who the inker was on this. I looked it up, too. Somebody not usual. I think it was the guy who inked the interior, but that's a John Buscema Tarzan cover, issue number 13 from late 70s, right? Don't see a year on the front. Probably like 78, somewhere around there. Man, I haven't read these in a long, long time, but I still have some on my shelf. And there's a Peter Bagge Apocalypse Nerd. I gotta say, this one is creepy, this Peter Bagge. I've had it sitting out all week, and I would look at it and go, wow, that's weird, creepy. I mean, strange. I have to reread this Apocalypse Nerd series one of these days, too. It was a fun Into the World series. So, there's issue 2 of 6 of Apocalypse Nerd, too. So there we go. Those are the two that are on the top of my printer all week for me to look at when I'm over there. And let's see, the one issue that was on my pull list, Radiant Red, issue 2 of 5 or 6. I don't know. Does it say in the indicia? It does not, but this is a mini. I think it's either 5 or 6 issues, but this is part of the Radiant Black universe. Radiant Red is she's a female character in this. There's a bunch of them with that suit. We'll see how this is. The first issue is mostly backstory that we kind of knew about her from the Radiant Black series, but it gave us more backstory of her. Let's see if the story opens up in that one. Oh, and I forgot to show you the comic shop news. Only one of these this week. DC proudly announces year-round Pride. Okay. Fantastic Four stuff. There's that weird Fantastic Four that happened in the 90s briefly. SpiderMan, Wolverine, Mr. Fix-It Hulk, and Ghost Rider. I guess they're bringing them back because they bring everything back sooner or later. See what else we got. What is the name of this one? West of Sundown. It's on the back. Number 1. This is, I guess, the logo-less cover. This is by Tim Seeley. Written by Tim Seeley and Aaron Campbell, drawn by Jim Terry. I just saw this one there and picked it up. I liked the cover. They had a few different covers on this. I liked the artwork inside. I have no idea what it's about. Oh, there's a little description on the back. A beautiful vampire must flee slayers in New York City and reclaim the ancestral soil that restores her undead flesh. But the world has changed since she was reborn in the New Mexico desert, and now Constance Der Abend and her, that's a weird name, DER space ABEND, Constance Der Abend, and her loyal assistant Dooley must adapt to life in the rough frontier town of Sangre de Moro, where all sorts of monsters have settled. I'm usually not a vampire fan, but I like the artwork. I was looking for something to buy, so liked the cover, so we'll give that one a look. And here's another one I liked the cover on, and it's from Boom Studios, Alice Ever After, number 1. This is, I think, said the Jenny Frison cover. This is Variant Frison. Yeah, this is the Jenny Frison cover. Really liked that cover. Looks very cool. Child of the pure, unclouded brow and dreaming eyes of wonder. Though time be fleet, and I don't know what that's supposed to mean back there. Oh, it is actually a quote from Lewis Carroll through the Looking Glass. So that doesn't really describe what the book is about. I guess it's an Alice in Wonderland riff, as you can tell from the title. But it's got some pretty neat looking art. You know, maybe this is going to be another, like, I bought a lot of first issues lately. Oh, that's cool. Maybe it'll go in my done-in-one box that I will have to make now. And then, the other two I got were, Marvel had some facsimile editions out, so I figured I'd get them. Here is SpiderMan 238. These are the facsimile editions, so they're ads and all. There's the back cover ad. I sold my copy of this a few years ago, just like 3 or 4 years ago, so I figured I'd get it again. I think it's the first Hobgoblin. So I saw it there, and I was like, yeah, I didn't know if I really wanted it, but I had so few comics, I was like, okay, Roger Stern and John Romita Jr. and John Romita Sr. inking them. So that's interesting. I didn't remember Sr. inking Jr. on these. This is when John Romita Jr. was first starting out. So his art looks a lot different. It looks kind of much more conventional than even when he was being inked by Bob Layton on Iron Man. Then the other one I got, I don't know if I still have this. I don't think I do. Peter Parker, The Spectacular Spider-Man #1. I think I got rid of all my Peter Parkers like 25 years ago or something. I don't even know. I have to look as if I had. But I can remember. I bought this, the original one, when it first came out, and it was cool because it was a new Spider-Man book, but it was never great. This is Jerry Conway and Sal Buscema with Mike Esposito inking them. I always liked the tarantula though. I just liked the pointy boots. But I remember it was a very much a mediocre 1970s Spider-Man story. But out of sheer nostalgia, I bought it. I was like, oh, I'll read it again and stick it on the shelf with my other facsimiles. I bought this series, I don't know, the first year or two of it. It really wasn't very good. Amazing Spider-Man was always better than Peter Parker, The Spectacular Spider-Man. But what the heck, I'll give the first issue a read. Like I said, I always liked that cover. That was always kind of a cool, it's kind of a variation on like the first Tarantula cover too. So, but you know, I'll give that a read because why not? Let me show you. I actually redrew these from last week because Mind the Comics was giving me some suit tips. I'm still not sure if I got it exactly right, but I like this pink color ink one better. I've got some ideas for coloring this digitally. We're going to try out. So I'm about 80% satisfied with this one now. So I still might have to working out with like. This is Gatsby himself, too. Working out what these characters look like to me is a tough deal. Reading the novel and figuring out what I think they look like. I like this one much better, the way this one came. This is, it's funny, I wasn't going to do anything with the giant eyes in the story. But then I was like, you know what? I draw eyes all the time. Why don't I just leverage them? So these are some eyes that I redrew that I drew once. And this is the giant ash pile that's in the Gatsby store. And like, since this figure isn't anybody besides a guy walking by an ash pile, it's like I find it much more interesting to draw that than to draw someone specifically. So I could get this like slumped over figure walking on a giant ash pile. So I like the way this one came out much better. This is more up my alley. Yeah, there's last week's badly drawn suit. And I dropped the whole water thing for now. I'll have to figure out that water all on its own. I gave him pants this time. But there you go. I like the way that one came out. That one came out all right. Got some comics for you. Got some artwork. And you guys have a good week out there.